Hey
That's
everyone,
sweet.
D here, and welcome to our next episode dealing with Daredevil Born Again. And hoping that intro looked really good. I'm gonna have to go back and take a look and see if there
It
was like a
looks good.
period where we're just staring at each other, going, "Do I press the button now?" See if I can get my timing right. So, yeah, we're here talking Daredevil, and of course, joining me as always from Smirking Gun Reviews, the man, the legend himself, Rob Stone.
What up, everybody out there in YouTube land? I messed up last week. I said virtual land, and I think I didn't mean it to say like that people aren't actually out there. It was a word. I misspoke. So I meant anybody out there watching
Well,
that's in
Rena's
the
out
computer.
there right now in the chat. Hey, Rena, how you
Hey, well,
doing?
good to
And
see you.
hey to everyone else joining us in the archives. Yeah, so we had a double episode last week to dive in. So here's the first real kind of standalone, our episode 3, Hollow of His Hand. So yeah, we're basically dealing with the trial of Hector Ayala of the White Tiger. Is really kind of the main focus on this, and the choices that kind of Matt has to make in order to work with his client. I'm gonna let Rob go off first on this one. Rob, what did you think about this week's episode? Did it hit well for you? Was it over the top? How did you take this one? How'd this week go for you?
Well, I mean, it's been a while. It's been a while since we've seen Matt in the courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think he really made it into a courtroom since season 2. Um, it's nice that it shows that they have the ability to focus. This is again a very focused episode. This felt like like we want cinematic quality, but this was a TV episode, and
Yeah.
I was glad to see once again we've talked about the chopped up movies thing, so it's just really good to see that. This was a surprising episode. Um, in some ways, the only ways that I didn't like were the cliche moments of what happens in television courtroom dramas. But otherwise, this took like elements from a lot of different things and made one of the better. Like if you're gonna do a courtroom episode, this was a good way to do it. I mean, they really threw a lot of drama into this episode and then capped it off with an ending that I should have seen coming. This is a heartbreaking episode, especially because, and I apologize because I have allowed myself to fall off of paying attention to a lot of things. I hear Daredevil's coming out. I just go, okay, cool. I'm gonna watch that.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody else knows about a lot of other things that happen because they follow the hype of it. And unfortunately, one of the hype things for me was I did not know that the actor Camar de los Reyes, is dead. That he died of cancer. I did not know that until tonight. So I really will get into it, but man, like I watched this. I tried to rewatch it again. I didn't quite make it all the way through again tonight. But when I finished rewatching it, and as I was rewatching it, it really felt there was a different impact on this episode that I got from finding that out. Um, I think that the Kingpin stuff in this was kind of more of the same from last week, but otherwise, really strong stuff from everybody.
Yeah. No, you're right. It definitely adds a whole other layer seeing this as, kind of the big episode of the White Tiger and of this actor who does an amazing job in the previous episodes and definitely in this episode. And the fact that he is actually gone. Yeah, that's life intercedes with our arts, folks. It's part of how this all is. But yeah, that's always sad, and I think it adds a bittersweet because he does such a great performance within this episode that you can't be like, oh, can't wait to see more of this guy. It's like discovering Heath Ledger as the Joker, or right around there, and then all of a sudden he's gone. It's just a tragedy. Um, and I agree that I do appreciate that they were able to do some actual good courtroom stuff in with this episode. I think there's a lot in this episode that works very well. And yeah, I think the actors, the performances that they are doing is really on top of all of that. I think most of the directing is pretty workman. In an episode like this, like you said, it is very TV. It's very courtroom. This is very kind of standard. There's nothing special, but it all works very well. I do have a couple of criticisms in with this episode. That again, as much as I like Daredevil, I do have some issues that I am hoping are not indicative of larger problems going on, but just where I am at this stage of the story. I'll just kind of throw it out at you like this. And yeah, let's actually kick things off with Fisk, because he's not in this a whole lot, and we can kind of get him quickly up and out of the way. Yes, what I have been begging for more is further couples counseling with Fisk, with Wilson and Vanessa. I actually had to kind of laugh at the fact that their couples counselor coming in actually interrupts the work they're actually doing. That they actually have a moment where he's like, of course, I just want to know what you're doing. I want to be sure that we are honest with each other. You can see there's those little things, and they're making adjustments, and they're actually communicating. And then as soon as the counselor comes in, it's like they shut up and they're on either sides of the couch. I mean, there was something kind of amusing to that, in which case I'm like, so are we here just so Fisk can follow up on Matt? Because this doesn't really seem to be something they want, though it also seems that he's there for Vanessa. Look, I'm going to be honest. The problem that I have with Fisk at this stage in the series is I don't know what he wants. I don't know what he's after. Yes, he is mayor, and yes, I want to make my city a better place. That's what he's been saying since season 1 of the original Daredevil. But I don't know why he's mayor. I don't know why he's pushing off. He's talking about all of these, the families and the crimes and all of those things, which used to be kind of like his world, is now like, that is petty and nothing, and we don't want to be disturbed to it. Fine. I guess my problem is I don't know why he's here. I don't know what he's after. I don't know what his larger plan is. And I'm hoping that is something that's going to be laid out. But there was definitely a moment in this couples counseling where she's talking about, I had to keep, the families are flying apart and I'm being on top of it. I'm paying this. It's like, I was always like, yes, this is how we'll do it. You will control the underworld. I will control the right world. And together we will, put this, to me, that's a plan. At this stage, I just don't know where Wilson is and what he wants. So while I love the character and everything, I'm a little frustrated that the most that we've seen, quite honestly, is the couples counseling. Rob, what's your take on Fisk's journey so far?
Yeah, I mean, you're right, and I'd like to think that maybe this is slow burn, because the pacing on his plot does seem suddenly to like just be, but when you have to, like, when they decide to focus all on this court case, they still want to put him in there. So it's like, well, what do we have for him that we can put in here that's not going to be something that we want pacing wise to pay off later? So here we are in the offices, just discussing the killing at Red Hook, discussing not discussing the marriage. Just little details here and there that don't really move the plot too much forward, because they're just in a holding pattern plot wise because of, I think, what's going on in the other plot, which just kind of makes me say, well, then maybe get rid of those scenes, even if it's shorter. Then it's an even more focused episode, because I guess the scene with him getting the response about the murders,
Mm-hmm.
I'm used to. I think we're used to Fisk being more proactive, like being like, we're gonna, but
Yeah.
he's now resigned to saying, well, these are the bottom of the barrel people. These are the rats. Let them kill each other. And maybe if that's why that's in there, because they really want to show what the upper echelons of power think of the people below them,
Sure.
even though the people below them work for them. And then there's once they're done killing each other, which is they'll be coming for you, which is something. I mean, he's kind of like the CEO of New York more than the mayor of New York. Like, or at least his plot just feels more like that. Maybe it's because of what's going on in our world today
Sure.
that's making me think like that. Like, because he is a businessman, right? He's the businessman mayor.
Oh no,
You know?
they have worked in the overlays
So
between him and very
yeah,
well. Yeah.
yeah. So, you know, it is the weakest part of this story, but I I kind of wondered why they didn't just ramp up the anti-vigilante stuff like right away.
Mm-hmm.
To make it feel like he's really doing something rather than going to therapy. There should have been a scene of him being like about the court case, saying this is just another, but maybe because the Fisk is not in court, so they can't control what he says. It would have been something for him to say something about White Tiger and vigilantism, and this court case is, bigger than this, and we got to take the streets back from these vigilantes,
Mm-hmm.
something that makes us feel like he's part of that story instead of in his own separate story. I think that if they had just a moment like that, like a press conference, because a lot of real life people do press conferences about important court cases that are going on, because they know that these will impact the streets depending on what the verdict is.
Right.
And especially if it's an election or somebody's trying to build on something, this would have been the perfect episode for him to step up in front of the mic and say, this is, again, what we're talking about. Cops getting killed. Well,
Well, yeah, and I think that's a fair point, because I think, what will feed into one of the larger criticisms that I have is I do feel that this show has points of very interesting concepts to really dive into and weigh and convey, and test the waters on what's true or what isn't, or what do people want, or what is the what are things about this, especially about vigilantism. And yet I feel that it's still very lightly touched upon. Again, we're not hearing that there's a bunch of vigilantes out there. Again, we only know of one other one. It's White Tiger. It's the only name that's been mentioned. And there's been very little else to it, which, I mean, we'll definitely, let's move on to the court case bit, which is again kind of the big central point of this. But what eventually becomes the idea of vigilantism, of heroism, of all of this, which I'll touch on a little bit more. I think this show is suffering the fact that I don't feel that we have a world that establishes that in the same manner. We did have like She-Hulk that does have, a superhero or a super being, law firm arm, which is implying that these are larger types of things, but we haven't really seen that from an audience. So to me, yeah, it's like you have an idea of things that you can touch on, but you can't really touch on them because you haven't really entertained them yet, but you're going to use them. Well, as I said, let's get into the court thing, and I just want to hit on real quick. I am glad that obviously Matt didn't kill those cops, because he has to talk with one of them in the bathroom the next day. I do like this asshole cop, and I do like the back and forth between Matt and him, both in the bathroom and on the court. This could be a really fun little, like, tete-a-tete relationship to fuck with each other until it's ultimately sorted out at the end. But I kind of like that energy, and I like the idea that they do play with the, oh, I could get you in trouble. Well, yeah, but then you would be in trouble, and you'd probably be in more trouble than I would be in. And, you know, this is how we don't admit to these things that happen, because we know that we've got each other. And to me, that's the interesting stuff. Those are the cool choices that I like when they make here. But yeah, any thoughts on our police villains? What we will find out is kind of the Punisher crew or Punisher wannabe crew. We'll touch on that.
He's got to be the guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. His name is Hamish Allen Headley. He's been making the rounds. He's been making the rounds, doing one episode here and there on different shows over the years. Hasn't really nailed anything over one episode, so this is kind of his big thing. I also want to really mention how, because they really focus on it a couple of times, how good the makeup effects on his ass whooping.
Oh yeah, spot on.
Like good. He really looked great. He looked like, and the back and forth banter from the stand of, like, you know, fast hands and shit. Like they don't even know what they're talking about. They're playing around, and yeah, he's a bad dude. Yeah, I kind of wished he had broken his neck in that room, but yeah, then we wouldn't be getting this kind of really dark performance of someone who very much thinks he's the wrong kind of person to be wearing a badge.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And
that whole room full of cops, you know, it made that like, I don't want to get too off topic.
No, guy, dive in, man.
Well, I mean, that's like, all I kept thinking of was, these are people that should be out on the street helping. And I can just see, and I'm sure that this happens in real life, right? I mean, that they go, hey, we need you to support the blue. We need you to be down there for, you know, while officer, what's his fucking name, goes up there and says whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They're not there for the cops. They're there for a presence to do what they did in this episode.
Yeah.
Make no mistake, they don't need to be there. Cops don't need to be in a courtroom for moral support for each other. You know?
And obviously this is a cop killing, so it's a bigger impact.
Yeah, it's to show, like, we really do, you know, like, but to me, it's all intimidation.
Mm-hmm.
And everything about the cops in this episode was intimidation. And that guy, when he pulls over Clark Johnson, I'm thinking to myself, why doesn't Clark Johnson go back to the court and report what just happened? Because to me, that's a crime.
Oh, yeah.
The officer that was just here pulled us over thinking we had that witness. What was he doing there? They didn't. That was a problem I had with the story, which was just, why didn't somebody say something about that cop then? You know?
Yeah. Again, to me, this is like I was talking about. They have a lot of very interesting points where they could dive into, and they just use them to get from their A to their B.
Yeah.
And no, it constantly annoyed me throughout this episode that they just played with some concepts that really could have been meaty episodes and longer trials and really stuff to dive in. Again, I don't know what story. There's 6 more episodes in this season. They're definitely telling a big thing. This may just be the part, so they don't want to spend that time. But it's such meat they could have gotten into. And yeah, I agree.
And I don't like to be like, because before we were talking, you know, in the first 2 episodes, it was reversed. Like, I was more of I didn't care about the differences between the Netflix stuff and this as much. But in this, it's not the Netflix show wouldn't have let that happen.
I literally said,
people behind that show, the writers, the producers, the creators, would have not let that scene happen.
Yeah, I literally said to my wife at one of the further scenes when he decides, you know, to put Hector on the stand, I was like, Foggy would never have let him do this. This is reckless. This is totally wrong. And there's several points. Yeah, I was like, man, Foggy would have never let you do this, Matt. This is wrong. So no, I agree. These are the points of frustration in the episode. Because of all of the cops right there, and you're right, they're there to be a presence, whether it be to intimidate witnesses or, show the jury that we're all here in this kind of united front. When we do get our, confidential informant on the stand, of course he collapses. And the fact that Matt was not prepared for that. There's a couple of things in this that I'm like, this is not Matt Murdock. And this is definitely one of them. He should have been prepared. He knows all the cops are in there. He knows the type of thing that's there. That it felt, again, while I get the gut punch and where I get why it makes this choice so they can focus on what they want to focus on in this episode, the way they get to that point, they have to betray Matt Murdock's character, in my opinion. And that's what annoys me.
Boom,
because
boom, boom.
It's both this and giving up Hector's White Tiger's secret identity.
Yeah.
What? No. He knows the danger that does, and just that you can't put on that suit again. No. You know what you've just put his wife in danger, his family in danger, his friends in danger. You've put a target on his back that he cannot take off. And Matt knows the consequences of that.
Yeah.
And that pissed me off. That almost threw me off the whole episode. Yeah. At that point.
Yeah, I was watching it with Bill here in the chat, and we were talking. I was just thinking to myself, like first off, he uses his powers to calm. Like, he knows what's going on. He knew he could monitor the street.
Yeah,
he knew the guy's heart. So the guy gets in there. He would have known something is wrong with him on the stand.
Yeah,
and he would have said, "We need to take a break. We need to take a break." And the scene would have gone on, except Matt would have taken him out and talked to him and said, "Look," and then given the speech, blah, blah. But yeah, that's missing because, again, they didn't want that to happen. That's not so they wanted the big dramatic courtroom crap that, let's face it, as most lawyers will tell you, don't ever happen.
No, never. Never.
Okay,
There's
guys
never a
don't
surprise
suddenly
witness.
break down on the stand. People don't suddenly go, "Aha, j'accuse." Oh no, you're right. I did it. No, in the real world, people deny. So first off, it's just not a believable part because none of the things that Matt would do. We got him in the courtroom, but suddenly he's not acting like he would. She-Hulk had no courtroom scenes, but when they did, she actually was acting like she. It's weird. It's really weird, man, because this show should know how to do all this stuff. And yeah, like you said, the revealing of now that's just more textbook court stuff of like, well, these are the little games that we play, and now Matt's gonna be in. I guess you could say that as an unspoken thing yet now or so far is that because Foggy's not there, these things are happening. They can always throw that little thing out there. Foggy would have made you look at this differently, Matt. Like you need it just, that's where the writing exposes the differences between the quality of the show then and now. And there really shouldn't be, if everything else seems to be functioning well, the writing, you have no excuse. You have no excuse for that. You guys have done a really good job making the show look, for the most part, like it should.
Yeah, you got the actors, you got the look, you got the makeup.
You guys are spending the money on the action. What is the problem still with the writers? And I'm not saying because this, and then some people will go, well, you're right. It's all still being woke. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I just mean good writers, people who can write, who aren't just there to go, well, you did an episode of some USA show, like, or you did like this, like some kids show or whatnot. No, man.
Writing is a craft that is developed and hammered, usually over multiple voices. This is why you have rooms for shows. You have people that take leads. You have ones that fix them up. You have ones that will keep them all up in line and in time. There's reasons why these types of writing circumstances have developed. And with all of these streaming shows, they've tried to go, no, we'll just have one writer who will sort this all out. And if you don't have the proper overlay, if you don't have somebody smart keeping an eye on things, you could have some stupid executive going, no, I want to see this. I don't get this. You should put this in there. And honestly, that's what fucks up so many shows, is not even the initial writing, but some idiots going in saying, I want to see this, put this in, make him say this, who don't know what they're talking about. And it just becomes the difference between a well done show and a CW show. Okay. HBO, CW.
We're not there yet, though,
yeah.
Thankfully. We're not there yet.
No. I mean, and I will say, this show, as much as I'm criticizing, is still some of the best stuff that Marvel Television has put out during the Disney era. Okay, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. would kick this show's ass. All right.
Oh, yeah.
But old Daredevil would kick this show's ass. But of all of the new stuff, this is getting closest to. So again, we criticize out of love, folks.
And the world's different.
Yeah.
Things are, like, there's just so much going on. And, like, I give it, like, still a pass. It is like those moments where they just go, and they pull you out of it. At least big dorks like me, okay, that pay attention to all those things. That pulls me out of it. It might not pull your general audience out of it because they probably are used to watching a lot of procedurals. There's a reason Law and Order is still on the air. There's a reason CIS and all that other crap is still on the air because people watch it. You can't say it's not popular. So they're just like, well, what do these shows do? Well, we need to have 1,600 different things happen in this one court case. I mean, because then that's part of what my problem was with it. It was just that wasn't just the dialogue or the writing, like leaving out of things. It's just check mark. Got to have them pulled into the back with the judge. We got to have the attorneys squabbling with each other. We got to have the scene where the guy doesn't show up. We just need another second, sir.
Yeah, there's a lot of tropes. There are a lot of tropes in this setup.
Like, I'd be embarrassed as an actor to go, look, do we really have to go this route? Can't we just get the guy here? Do we?
Could we use this doing something interesting as opposed to something rote?
Like make it a real thing. Like there really is a struggle to get this guy in. Maybe there's protesters outside that want to stop. Like give us something that actually makes you have to have the guy be gone. Otherwise, don't do it. Again, there's just a lot of things. All those little things after the fact do start to add up in my mind.
No, well, I think in some ways the show does have a certain A to B problem. They start at A, they want to get to B, and often they poo-poo or don't put the focus in on how they get to that journey. Because obviously the thing that they want to deal with in this episode is the examination of a hero's impact on the community. We want to talk about Hector as White, and they do a lot of great stuff in this. The fact that they keep hitting on because it was the right thing to do. I think that was great. And they talk about this one thing. Why would you run towards this? Well, because it was the right thing to do. Why would you risk your life to save your cup? Because it's the right thing to do. That kind of hitting on, obviously that is where they wanted to put the focus of this episode. And I think this is kind of where they have their biggest impact from an emotional standpoint. I don't like a lot of the choices they make in order to get here. Like I said, I think they have to portray Matt's character. And once again, I'm going to complain about the goddamn magical amulet. Why are you telling the court? Does people know that White Tiger has a magical amulet? Why would you bring that up? To me, it undercuts his hero-dom to say, well, why didn't you? And you didn't have the magical amulet that normally allows you additional strength and power. It's like, oh, so that's why you're vigilante, because you can be protected because you have this like suit of armor. So, oh, that's why. So you're not really in danger. Again, different ideas if you're going to bring this up that you can go ahead and explore. But why is Matt saying it? Why does the audience need to know? And if this magical amulet, which I'm pretty sure is not going to have any further impact, to me, it just undercut. Again, it's the CW-ness of it. It's talking about the magical amulet. It's calling him a hero. Feels like Arrow. It feels like that kind of world where you have all these vigilante heroes all over and people just throw those terms around. We don't say hero much in the Marvel universe. In any of the movies, people don't describe themselves that way. I mean, Captain America doesn't call himself a hero. Iron Man doesn't call himself a hero. Thor might at a point, but that's just because he's fucking Thor. But we don't really have that. Again, we don't know much about, even though we're doing old Daredevil, it's like we have to remind ourselves, oh, yeah, there was a Luke Cage and a Jessica Jones around here, and there were some other people that were going on, and obviously we're going to have Punisher. But to me, the term hero is just, I don't know, it just makes it feel cheap. It makes it feel like this is the Disney thing, like, no, talk about them being heroes and stuff, because that's what little kids look up to. They know the term hero. And I feel like I'm complaining about the same things over and over again.
Exactly. I mean, we already know what did him in the episode. But I mean, let's just go. Hey, if you come White, just grab that lid off. Can you?
You are popping in and out right there, Rob. Can you say that all again? That sounded all really great, but I think I missed about half of what you said.
Oh, and it show that happened. What I just don't know why Matt would give away his secret, or like, if happened to him didn't happen, they could have easily just had a scene where up and yanks it off him and goes, "You're not gonna be able to beat me up now."
Yes. A natural way for that to be exposed so that you could do it and not Matt, because, well, he's talking like, well, you may not even miss it. It's not like any point he's going, by the way, I'm Daredevil, so I will tell you how I'm on your level. He never gives up his identity, though he's happy to give up White Tigers. It annoyed me so much.
The plot put Matt in the corner of, well, Nikki Torres. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we're just going to pivot, revealing everything just so that we can not give a verdict, because that's another trope we got, right? Was that we're supposed to think going in, not going to get him. He's hung, he's dead. About how, what's up? But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's just, I think that's kind of the weaker bit. While they want to play with the idea of what the hero is, and I think they do a good job of relaying that impact from the everyday people. Like, yeah, this is where the support, I agree, to have found some other organic way to have had his identity revealed, and not to have Matt be the one that just sort of throws it out there, but like, okay, well, this is like, no, don't worry, man. This is actually a good thing for us. I know that this seems bad for you, because it also then removes the guilt off of him when he, at the very end, because now you're just like, oh, so you're gonna have now Matt feeling guilty because of what he did.
Well, again, the when Nick gets there, Matt pulls him out. Is the big speech, doing the right thing, and I know you're scared, cops, and blah blah blah. Goes in there, he performing, and then I don't know how else you that you just have the Nicky Morris thing work. You could have the ending, throw any thing in there, let somebody blow it. Oh no, white time go, well, a mistrial. Rules now. Just being in the having this all because of it has a law. Choppy. I am.
It has been popping a little in and out. I've cut some of it, but I don't know how much is going through the recording on any different. So I don't know how the StreamYard is seeing this.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I saw like a blip go out, but like that's not like or anything like that.
Okay, chat. Can you give us a hand? How is Rob going through? Or is he popping in and out? Is he good? Or yeah, Bill's saying you're cutting in and out.
Yeah, my internet has been dog shit lately, so it doesn't say that I've lost here, but I will real quick and see if it does anything.
Yeah. We're doing it live, folks. These are the things we have to deal with. Yeah, we'll see if that sort of fixes, and we'll bring him right back. But yes, yeah, that's why I want to keep kind of underlining the fact that I do like the show, and they are doing a lot of good things here, because like I said, I think the emotional impact that we have of examining the impact that Hector's choices have had on the community and how much support that he has, I think is really super important, because obviously that's what ultimately finds him innocent at the end, or not guilty. I guess you can't really find somebody innocent from a court of law, but you can find them not guilty. Hey, Rob. All right, that's looking good.
That doesn't do anything. It's not my voice. Am I?
Yeah. It's gonna say that.
I can't even tell you how many times I've had to like restart everything while I got my headset on talking to Bill. So it hasn't happened in a little while, but it seems to happen the longer that I have StreamYard operating. My internet signal just goes do. So
I blame Elon Musk.
Let's see if I need to cover anything again. We were talking about again how it should be done. Should have just been the speech out in the hall, and then never have revealed anything like that. They could have figured out a way for somebody to reveal he's White Tiger. In the whole thing with not revealing, not including him as a hero or a vigilante table. It should have been something that they talked about, because it feeds into what Fisk can use, saying, well,
right.
If this is all about vigilantism, which is about what Fisk's motivations are, then it all should have been about that and not about the courtroom tropes and cliches that you want to fit in there just to make the episode longer or more like, well, this is what happens on TV show court cases. But it's like, no, that's what happens on bad TV show court cases.
Yes.
Yeah. There are ways of doing it.
This
and
could
you
have
can
easily
still be
been
cliche.
yeah, this could have easily been 2 episodes. You could have dealt with a lot of these ideas. His idea could have been exposed. Then Fisk could have gotten in and talked about, I don't want to be involved with the court. It's important the courts feel out about. But this is why vigilantism doesn't have a place on the street. You know, he does a lot of that speech beforehand so that when he makes that other connection later on, it's got this bigger bit, like he's now motivating more forces and more things on that. You know, again, there was a way to have focused and really investigated a lot of these issues a little bit more. They wanted to do Hector's story very quick and bring him up as a thing, and they just made quick choices in order to get to that.
How much of this was done then because the actor died? How much did they have a whole other storyline already filmed? Did this guy do a bunch of stuff that's on the, cutting room floor? I don't know.
Yeah. That I don't remember when he passed away. So in regards to any of the shooting and stuff, so if it had any effect on it, or if it was just, that unfortunate coincidence that happens. I don't know.
I will tell you right now, when he passed, okay, so he's been gone for since December of 2023. So maybe they didn't get a lot.
Yeah. And hey, Mama Bear, there in the chat. Batman. I mean, not Daredevil. Nicely done. So then we get kind of to our end, which honestly, I mean, I like the Fisk bit. And again, I do like this idea where he's touching out on this small thing, that he's connecting in with BB, and he's doing the little speeches where we're going to go after the vigilantes. It's not the thing that we should do, or that it's the thing that we should do that should not be allowed. I kind of like that, I would have liked a little bit more of a build into it, but they had to do the couples counseling. But we get kind of our big final scene, which is, in a way, kind of surprised me, because the one thing that Matt says is like, you can't put on the costume on anymore. This is going to have to be the end. And the minute that he's found that he's not guilty, it's like, and the costume's going back on. And we get our full dress scene. And, I get it in some ways. It's like, well, the community has said how much they appreciate him being a hero. In some ways, it's a confirmation that he's doing the right thing, and that the community is behind him. Unfortunately, because people know who he is now, he doesn't get further than like half a block down half a block away before he is very quickly. And I have to say, I did appreciate the intensity of this choice. Is, yeah, bullet to the head, boom. I don't care what your magical amulet's going to do for you. It's not going to protect you against this. And then, of course, we get the final shot of the Punisher chest logo and no face shot, because obviously this is not how the Punisher actually operates. And it does get me excited that obviously Bernthal's going to be back. We're going to have to bring in the Punisher, who is going to have to teach these people what the Punisher's all about.
Let's not even say that's what we want.
Yeah, you're right.
They couldn't do it on his own show.
They
didn't do it on his own show. Okay. I want to say that right up front. Bernthal's the best Punisher on a terrible Punisher show. And
I can't disagree on that at all.
What the Punisher is about. There's a lot of punishing in the comics, and on his show, there was some, and he never goes full on until the last scene of season 2. But I know what you're saying.
Yeah, one can hope. Yes, I'm hoping.
I have a feeling it's going to be a lot of talking. It's going to be like Stallone in First Blood Part 1. They did this. They drew first blood. Like that kind of thing of like,
look, if you get Berthold doing it, they drew first blood, not me.
Yeah.
Kind of scene, I'll go for that. Yeah, but
that's but the Punisher angle is interesting, especially because of nowadays with the cops using that symbol and amidst a plethora of other people that just
should not.
don't understand. Like, I was a kid when the Punisher came out.
Sure.
I was an idiot. I read it all because it was always mafia people that you can get behind, like seeing like the Punisher go after, like and that romanticizing of it all.
Right.
And now, like in 2025, it's gone this far of like all these people who want to punish people out there. So much that I did want to quickly bring up this book that I got. It's the newest issue of Ultimates, where Captain America is fighting Punishers. Everybody wearing their skulls, and including Mr. John Walker, U.S. agent, is the newest big super soldier serum Punisher out there. He gets killed by really quickly. It was awesome. But I like what this show is doing, is trying to say about the Punisher. I like what this book is trying to say about the Punisher. I like what Marvel's trying to say, period, about the Punisher and the way that people are using that symbol that they can't copyright because it's too generic. So they can't even, say, we, don't wear those, you don't make those t-shirts, don't make those stickers. It's, to me, that symbol used to mean you liked the comic. Now it means that I don't know what you want to do. It's an intimidation thing. It's I'm a tough guy. I'm a Punisher. I'm gonna punish you. And
well, it's a lot like, the people who want to have a badge are the ones who shouldn't have a badge. Yeah, the people that think that they're the Punisher are not the Punisher. The Punisher is I mean, I've got a few friends that are big fans and are always very purposeful in their description of how he only gets the bad people and he's never wrong because he puts in the time and effort to be sure that he gets the investigation part and the identity part right. But what he doesn't do is just kill other vigilantes and that, are trying to help people. He's not vengeance, he's punishment. It's a different thing. And you're right, it's not necessarily actually a really great character to compare on in the world. I understand the visceralness of what he does, but I do appreciate, and again, I am hoping for that they are that Marvel in with this is trying to make that distinction in whatever layer that they are going to.
And it's definitely about fascism.
Yeah.
And the symbol meaning fascism. This thing that just used to mean you liked a comic book character now means fascism.
Yeah.
And they won't say, no, are you picking on us? Why are you picking? It's just, if you have to scream that loud about it without any self-reflection, because so many of these people are incapable of it, that's the problem. Your problem isn't that they don't like knowing that people see them for what they are. You put that thing out there. You want us to see or feel a certain way. And when you don't get that reaction, when we don't suddenly go like, there goes that alpha motherfucker. Yeah. Step back. Watch out. Real man coming through. When people actually tell you what that is and they feel there's something inside these people that actually, I think, knows. And so, but again, because they have no idea about how to self-reflect, it always comes out against everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And You see these characters like Powell in this show, who is exactly that, and he's doing a very good job at it. And again, it brings back that old joke, the line that I heard recently, that not too long ago. We gotta thank all these guys that are willing to be on TV and movies being horrific white guys, being horrific racists on TV and movies that take these parts that are going to be remembered as that guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
hey,
I don't know if I could do it.
So some people have made their whole career out of being that guy.
Yeah.
Or they're that. What I actually really love, which is what we find in a lot of these as you get older, is he's that guy for 20 years, and then he gets the one role where people notice, and then all of a sudden he's like, the A-lister fucking bad guy. He's Esposito. He's
Jonathan Banks.
It's Jonathan Banks. Yeah. He's any of the guys that suddenly are just like, oh yeah, that's the bad guy that you want for your role.
They get to play the bad guy and the soft key, now like they get to be the bad guy with who's the nice grandpa, that kind of thing.
To me, it's what I say is like, what are Christoph Waltz's jobs before Inglourious Bastards?
Probably a lot of period pieces.
Yeah. He's this guy in the background that all of a sudden he makes the one role where like, we have to put him as the villain for everything. Yeah. So anyway, that's where we're hoping we're going. So yeah, overall, a good episode. I like the points. I see the points where they wanted to hit, and I think they did those well. I just really do have issues with their A to B, and I think with the quality of everything else in this show, that isn't there and that isn't being explored, I think is a real detriment to the work everybody else is doing. I do really want to see where they're going. I know there's 6 more episodes, so we are just getting into the beginnings and the setup of whatever overall tale that they're going. I do really want to know what Fisk's overall plan is kind of soon. Again, I will be happy to watch him in any scene, even if it's just doing couples counseling and stuff, because he's amazing. But I would really like to see more like, villain in my villain.
Yeah, we need a something charged next week. We need, because of that death, and I really hope he wasn't I hope that was somebody else in that suit at the end of the episode. Honestly, I like
it. It has to be. It has to be. That's
the last thing of this guy's career is getting shot in the head in one of the only really, because for Disney there was some violence in here this week.
Oh yeah,
the gunshots. The 2 guys in the truck, which I want to bring up that scene real quick.
Yeah.
That was so well done. I didn't know what I mean? The guy robbing the truck, the 2 guys, they all had this like thing that's like, oh, you're a hard man, aren't you? Like that guy that was robbing the truck, he should be a regular on this show.
He should be the new Turk.
Yeah.
No, I agree. It was very natural and playful and just bad. And even the second guy gets that moment where he just very quietly is just like, fuck.
Oh, I'm dead.
Yeah. Like, you just fucked it up. God damn it. Shit.
The guy told him this is a gimme. But it was that scary playfulness of like, I'm just here to, go after whatever. But, and how quickly things can just turn. That was a genuinely like, oh shit. Like that was an awesome moment, just as shocking as that ending was. Like Bill called it last night. He was like, oh, this is going to be a trap. I honestly thought that too. I didn't think this was going to happen in this episode. I should have. I had it in my mind that since I didn't know the actor had died.
Oh yeah.
I thought we were going to get a big thing. I don't know what this is, fighting. I thought we were going to get like a White Tiger Daredevil team up or something. No.
I mean, and again, that is kind of a well done bit, is because they get that moment where they build up. And again, even while I'm in mind, like, why are you doing this? Weren't you just told that you can't do it? I also understood why he is. Like he says, this isn't a choice, it's a calling. It's something that I have to do. And you're right. And it's kind of like, and now he's freed, accepted by his community, ready to step out. And now he's gone.
And
The
that was a
shockingness of
Daredevil
it.
move.
Yeah.
That was an old school Daredevil show move. I just thought, again, if I had the information, I wouldn't have had it built up in my head. And it's fine. It is a better, like, it's a more intense, like, shocking. It was like, yeah, we knew, we even said last night, it was like, yeah, his problems have only just begun. That's what I said. I didn't know they were going to end.
Yeah.
Like that. Like, and it was just, we got the close up and he was giving us what we want. And honestly, I do think it's a little fair for anybody to go, I wanted to see White Tiger fight with his magical amulet. And we don't even, but we might still, because he's just the first White Tiger.
I was gonna say that's a legacy character, isn't it?
Yeah. So somebody else can easily take up the mantle. Heck, it could be anybody. The guy who picks, whoever finds the body could be like, he's dead. And also, this is nice.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, somebody punches him and they're like, hey, I mean, they could go, I wouldn't even be surprised if that's what happens. There's a scene where a guy's in a bar starting a fight and he's just getting whooped on. And they're like, what's going on? How come this guy doesn't get hurt? And he's like, because I got the magic amulet, you know?
Sure. And honestly, if Marvel wants to start, laying down the idea of legacy heroes and stuff, yeah, I mean, that's a fine way to do that. And that would be, I think, a good move to have taken this story from what it was. Because otherwise, yeah, it's just like, dude, he got White Tiger killed.
And I guess the last thing I'll say that I had to say is the right thing to do part got me.
Yeah.
Because it's just, again, there's so much going on. And it's hard to know. I think a lot of people don't know what the right thing to do is anymore. I think everybody is in such a state that it's hard to if I have to tell you that there's an empathy problem in America, then you've got you're part of the problem. There's a big empathy problem in this country, and doing the right thing these days is just doing what's right for yourself. For the majority, it seems like the majority of people, they don't like to admit it. Everybody it is narcissistic on some level, because we all have to take care of ourselves ultimately.
Sure.
But the way things are going now, like when you see this kind of story take place, when you see the lack of empathy going on, that's what made that part really hit me, because I at least try to do the right thing. I fail. I sometimes succeed, and I at least try. And that was like what made his death to me like even more like impactful, because somebody was saying what needed to be said, like without Daredevil being there, without other people stepping up. Where's the Avengers? Yada, yada, yada. And this guy who's just been doing his thing since he left Puerto Rico, he thinks about, and we should have known from the beginning of the episode, the very first scene, because he wanted to go back to see those singing frogs, and we should have known he was never going to
do it. Yeah.
Just because of that scene alone. Look at the flowers.
Chekhov's frogs. Yeah. That's the Kokui are actually known as. No, I agree, because I think this was the best. This was the strongest part of the episode. To me, this was like the point of what they wanted to say. And I think that they pulled that off very well. I think it was very emotionally impactful. It made sense why he got his not guilty verdict, and it made his then sudden death even more tragic. So no, I think that was, that was the best part of the episode for me. Well, I think that pretty much covers it up. Anything we are missing, Rob, that we want to touch on before we get out of here?
Nope. Just, no.
No, perfect. Well, we'll try to hold back our expectations.
We could be here forever if we just kept talking.
That is true. That is true.
There's plenty to say.
And we have such a fine group here. We've got Rena in the chat, Babaro, Bill Casey, Mama Bear, and others. Thank you all so much for jumping in and joining us in this conversation. We will be back next week. Same Daredevil time, same Daredevil station. For episode 4. Really looking forward to that. Again, we got 9 episodes. We're not even halfway through yet. Really excited with what we have coming up. And I am very just, I'm going to keep on the hopeful edge. But you'll catch us sooner than that, because we'll be back over on this guy's channel over on Smirking Gun on Friday at 6:30 to be talking about the penultimate episode of season 2 of Severance. Oh, Rob, that show is so good. So good.
Yep. And as far as other things going on, I mean, I've got more comic book stuff lined up as always. I'm toying with a couple of things that I want to do. Just kind of spur of the moment things. But otherwise, yeah, Severance Fridays, Daredevil Wednesdays. Everything else just happens when I have time.
Beauty. Can't miss it. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us live. Thanks everyone joining us in the archives. Please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and the notifications bell so you don't miss any of the upcoming shows. And we'll catch you all next time. Take it easy, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I got to get a good outgoing video. Be professional.